Final Cut Pro 10 has been released. Is it still pro? I'll talk to you about that right here in this episode of Cena's Corner.
Cena's Corner.
Alright guys, what's up my friends? For those of you guys who know me, Cena's Corner here, we also do some tech stuff. So I'm coming to you now to talk to you a little bit about Final Cut Pro 10 and the controversy that seems to be going on about it with some of the people that say they are pro editors. Alright, first of all, as you know, Final Cut Pro 10 has been released, I think, about a couple of days now, and Apple has come up with a blockbuster price tag for this program at $300. If you know anything about Final Cut Pro 7 and beyond that, it has always been a $1,000 program. Now, I think the reason why the price of this program has been able to be at $300 is because of the fact that it is released solely and only through the Apple Mac Store. Apple has faced a lot of ridicule over that, but if it's going to drive down the price, I'm all for it. It's also kind of their way to try to cut down on pirating, which I don't think that's going to happen 100%, but that is their overall goal. So if you have a Mac, or if you read any other kind of tech reviews on Final Cut Pro 10, you already know that it has been met with very mixed reviews. Actually, for this application, it's only carrying about a 3.5, I think, maybe almost not even quite a 4 in the App Store. If you go to look at it and look up under the reviews, a lot of the complaints is it's not pro anymore. It should be called iMovie Pro. There's other ones. You can't import any of your Final Cut Pro 7 projects into Final Cut Pro 10, things of that nature. Well, I'm going to give you my quick opinion on that. It all depends on what's pro to you. In my opinion, it's still pro. However, I don't consider myself, and I'm not a professional editor. However, the term professional carries different meanings. For instance, you can be a professional by skill, but you also can be a professional by getting paid. If you work at McDonald's and your job at McDonald's is to flip burgers, you are a professional hamburger maker. If you work at Subway and your job is to make sandwiches, you are a professional sub maker because you get paid to do that. Necessarily don't mean skill. However, there are some people that are professional by both. I'm a professional drummer by skill and because I've been paid to do it before, so on and so forth. So it all depends on what level of professional you are in. But the complaints is actually come from people that I believe have the skill to be pros because of what they're saying. Excuse me. In my opinion, yes, Final Cut Pro 10 is still very much pro. And here's why. There's a lot of things in Final Cut Pro 10 that you cannot do with iMovie. For one, you cannot have multiple tracks. 2, you cannot do what I consider to be true chroma keying, or better known as green screening. It's just a drop-in process, and then that's it. What you see is what you get. However, there's a lot of other features that I'll cover later on that's in this program that makes it pro. They just made it more simplistic, and I think that's what the problem is. They made it easier to do certain things. Why does everything gotta always be so hard? Okay, you know, with Final Cut Pro 7, you had to do a lot of keying to do certain things. Now in Final Cut Pro 10, they just took that to a whole new level. You don't gotta do keys to do certain things anymore. It's just simply button click and you select the image or the footage and it's done. I guess people just want to live the hard life and keep doing things the old way, but things are changing. They made it easier to do L cuts and J cuts and all the kind of cuts in your footage. Color correction is done in a snap. So I still feel that it's very much pro because of the fact that it still does things that iMovie can't do. And from consumer reports, or I should say from professional reports that's out there, it is 2 years ahead of what they're saying of Adobe After Effects and some other editors. People making fun of it because they're saying, oh my goodness, you finally got rendering in the background. That's so old and that's so ancient. Okay, well, whether it's old or whether it's ancient or not, there's still people saying that it's ahead of its game. Plus, they pointed it out at their keynote, Apple's Final Cut Pro is in just about every major movie studio in the world, from Disney to Fox to ABC. And you can't really say a lot about that, about Adobe After Effects. And if you can, I haven't seen any reports that they've come out and just put a big old screen up and said every major production company in the world uses Adobe After Effects or Sony Vegas or whatever. Apple can say that. So I think that when they changed their program a little bit, that they changed it because they was thinking of the professional, but at the same time they was kind of thinking of the consumer. What's the best way to put a $300 program in the hands of the consumer? Make it be an easy switch to go from what they know to something better. And that's what they did with Final Cut Pro 10. I think it's a ploy to get the professional to come in and say, hey, look at this. You can do all this stuff a lot easier. And then they look at the consumer and say, but look, you got iMovie, you can use that. But won't you come over here and go to Final Cut Pro 10, because now you can use iMovie stuff and 10,000 more other things, and it's going to make your production even better. So I do kind of think, and I could be wrong, that they're going to drive the price down on Final Cut Pro 10 here pretty soon, because they're going to want exactly what I just said. They're going to want your typical iMovie user to come over and use their new Final Cut Pro 10, and I don't think a lot of them is going to go at it at a $300 price tag. For me, I'm liking Final Cut Pro 10. That's what's on my screen behind me right now, because I was doing some things with it to find out, make sure it still did everything I needed it to do, and it does. The one thing that I always said is, I said sometimes it takes me 4 hours to do a video. Everybody hops on my computer and says, oh, your computer's probably crap. Well, I have the top of the line Mac behind me. The thing is no one asked me why it took me that long to do a video. And the number one answer to that is editing. The biggest problem with that is not that it's complex. Now, there is some of my videos, if you go through my channel and look, that you would consider to be complex editing with green screening. Like, for instance, the real talk I did on Michael Jackson has different slides going through. There's one that I did on Guitar Hero Warriors of Rock that had all kinds of slides. And yes, that's very intricate and it's very complex. But the problem with that is all those slides that you saw, I had to make sure they were in the right place. And the only way to do that is to render out my video, because I couldn't see it. It would just go beep, 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 and it says need to be rendered. Well, I have to see the video to make sure that all the stuff is in place. So I'm spending 1 to 2 hours at bare minimum just rendering stuff. The editing part actually takes me the least time, to be honest. All the pictures you see going there and the slides and the frames and the video, that took me the least amount of time. It was all about the rendering and having to make sure it was there and mixing things up. If the things didn't connect right, have to reconnect them, and then that means I got to render it again. Anytime you touch that clip, had to be rendered. With Final Cut Pro 10, rendering is out the window. It renders in real time, so you put it in and it starts rendering, but you can see your clip immediately. Scrub it, the whole nine. Don't have to worry about that. So for me, I'm liking Final Cut Pro 10. I think what I'm going to do, I've been asked this before, I'm going to try to do what other people hasn't kind of done yet, that is complaining. And I think a lot of them that's complaining from what I read hasn't even fully used Final Cut Pro 10 yet. But I'm going to come in, I'm going to show you what it is like for me to do an edit in Final Cut Pro 7. Okay, I still have it on my computer. Then I'm going to do the same edit in Final Cut Pro 10. And then I'm going to show you, and then that should show you exactly why I think it takes me a lot less time and why people's going to like this program. It's going to be something to get used to. You can import Final Cut Pro 7 data because it's a new program from the ground up. It has 64-bit editing, which you can't do in Final Cut Pro 7, and a lot of other stuff. So it is a brand new program. It is not an add-on to Final Cut Pro 7. It is not going in the same realm. So maybe Apple did miss the mark a little bit, because maybe they shouldn't have called it Final Cut Pro 10. Maybe they should have just said we're ending the Final Cut Pro series and here is, Cut Pro or something like that. I think it would have been better received if that would have happened. But when you continue a series like Final Cut, people is expecting it to go in the same realm with some enhancements. And to be honest with you, in my belief, just because people like to complain, if they would have kept Final Cut Pro 10 looking and responding and acting the same way as Final Cut Pro 7 does, there would have been major complaints about that, because it's all you gave us was a couple of updates. This is a bunch of BS. Well, I wanted a brand new program. Then you get a brand new program and they still complain, so you just can't win. So there's going to be lovers and haters everywhere. So let me know what you think. If you have already used Final Cut Pro 10, let me know. Do you prefer it? Do you hate it? Do you like it? Are you going to stick with Final Cut Pro 7? Are you going to go elsewhere? Are you going to stay with Adobe After Effects? It works for you or whatever. Only thing I ask is that you be respectful of the video and of the people who leave in the comments. But I look forward to hearing what you guys think. So you guys know how to reach me, cenascorner.com. My website, cenascorner.com. Also, you can reach me on Twitter, Cena5401. and Facebook/Cena's Corner 1101. Alright guys, so that's it for me. So until next time, peace, love, keep rocking out, and I'm going to catch you guys the next time.